The Edge of Fate is out. I've beaten the story. I've played through some of the raid. I watched the contest raid, and I also have played in the new tier system with loot to see how I feel about it. And we're going to be discussing how I feel about both the story and its narrative, and then we're also going to be discussing the story's gameplay and then the core loop on the puzzles throughout the missions, and then we're going to be talking about the contest mode raid, the drama that followed it, the cheaters allegations that are following, and it's like happening live right now. And then finally, we will be discussing just the raid as a whole without, of course, it being contest mode. And then for the tier system and everything, we're going to be talking about so much to do with a lot of the stuff that they just kind of added with this update that wasn't directly, quote unquote, from the DLC. So let's go ahead and hop into it and talk about the good things I found in this DLC, and that being the story and narrative. So without spoilers, let's talk about the DLC's story. This story is among the best stories. I personally did not enjoy the Final Shapes story because the first like 5 missions were slow, and then it was like a bunch of fetch quests, and I just didn't enjoy the fetch quest story either. And then you hit like the meat of the story, and then it was over, and it was good overall, but like in terms of like the entire story, I was not a big fan. I loved the Witch Queen. The Witch Queen was fast paced. You jumped right into it. It was chaos. It was just a good story all the way around. And with Forsaken, it's the same way. You start off right in the action. It's fun. It's exciting. We're there. We're having a blast. I enjoy those DLCs and their stories. This one tops all of that. Once you play through this DLC once, it is unlike any other DLC. Every single DLC I have ever played, as far as Destiny goes, Forsaken, Beyond Light, The Witch Queen, Lightfall, The Final Shape. By the time I play it a second time, I'm trying to rush it as fast as possible. And by the third time, on my Warlock, typically, I don't end up finishing the story because I just don't have, like, I get to the point to where like I want to be because I need to unlock a certain area. I need to unlock something. Like with Prismatic, I needed to do like a certain point. For Lightfall, I had to do the whole thing to get Strand or pay $20, and I just can't convince myself to spend $20. So I sit there banging my head against the wall playing these DLCs that I just like don't like playing through a second or third time. But I will let you know that I have already played this DLC twice on Legendary Campaign or whatever the second tier is. That's Brave, something, Fabled, Mythic, whatever the second tier is. I've already beaten it twice. And both times it was really, really fun. The first time that I played through it, stuff happened that I did not understand. And then I played through it a second time. And this, I haven't watched any Bife videos. And let me tell you, Bife sub count, if you play this story and you enjoyed it, go subscribe to Bife because, or my name is Bife, because there's so much there that he's going to be making stuff on that will probably blow our minds. I haven't even begun to touch any of the stuff that he's already released. I don't know what it is. I'm staying away from it until I beat the DLC, and I want to play through it again because I enjoyed it so much. And then there were so many things when I played through it the second time that I'm like, wow, I understand why that was said. I understand why this happened. It's it's a masterpiece. Like if you watch TV shows and you're into like the superhero shows and stuff, people love to clown on like the CW's superhero shows, but everyone can pretty much agree that like the first, I'd say like 2 seasons of like The Flash were really good TV, and season 1 was like really, really good. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because The Flash deals with time travel. This DLC has to do with time because we're going up against the Vex, and there's a lot of correlation with like the story being just like that good in terms of like things that are said that you don't understand how it affects the DLC until after you beat it, and then when you play it again, you're like, "Wow, I didn't catch that the first time. Well, I didn't catch that the third time." So with that being said, that is your spoiler free. I love this DLC and its story and narrative. And now we are getting directly into spoilers because I want to talk about just some of the things that happened and how it made me feel and how other DLCs tried to do the same thing but didn't make me feel anything. This scene right here is really big for the overall story. That being this DLC story, I don't know how this will shape the future of Destiny as a whole, meaning like this upcoming saga or even the next DLC. But this scene was really important for both characters' development as a whole, and it's just really good. Also, if you get to the scene and you don't have your music on, please turn your music on. It makes the scene so much better. And I don't know if it's automatically on because like it's almost required because there's literally dancing. So or else you would be like, why are they dancing? But yeah, make sure you just have your music on for this. You can read the subtitles. I've removed the audio for that reason because there's music and I don't want to get hit by copyright. I also don't have audio up because I am trying to give you your last chance to get out of the video before the cutscene plays. So this cutscene is just so powerful, and this whole DLC, like originally, whenever I started playing, Lodi was someone that I immediately did not trust and was just like, he's going to try and kill us. Because why else would we be here in this DLC, right? Because we faced a lot of threats throughout Destiny, but we've never faced humanity. We've never fought other Guardians unless it was like Crucible and stuff. So it was really an idea for me that we were finally going to be fighting against other Guardians or something to that effect, like a faction of Guardians that I don't know, like are trying to harness another one of the echoes or something. I don't know. That's really kind of what I expected, or like the nine to be manipulating a different set of Guardians to do their bidding since we are doing kind of our own thing. You kind of see in the story that it almost seems like we are a paradox to the nine. Like the nine have their hand in everything. That's what this DLC teaches us. They have their hand in everything. They control everything, but there's like a specific line in the story where one of the nine thanks us for not disturbing, I guess, their plan too much. But since they have their hand in everything, you would think it would always go exactly as they planned by manipulating everything. So it seems like the Guardian might not be possible to manipulate, or might not be possible to be manipulated by the Nine. And that could be in the lore. But here we go. We have the scene starting. And again, this is just such a great scene. And I'm going to let most of it play out because it's so good. And there are little things in here that you don't notice until you do it a second time. So, like right here, and like I said, I have had the audio cut, but that sign that says K9, it's there, says K9, the CA is out, it just says 9. We also find out that Ikora works in the same place that Lodi does, and you'll see why that sign saying 9 is so important. I mean, of course, you guys know that this story is about the 9 and everything. There's Lodi, and Ikora has a daughter, and she later says in one of these cutscenes that she doesn't want to know her name because she's dead. And Ikora isn't this lady anymore. She doesn't want to know her name because she's dead. So Ikora just found out her original life, all of the story behind it and everything, and like throughout the entire DLC is in shambles because Ikora Rey went from this powerful commander that we love to realizing that she was a normal person that had a day job. She had a child that she loved. Presumably, she had a husband or someone in her life else that she cared for. She had coworkers that she cared for. Her and Lodi were at least friends. Who knows to what extent, or if they were just like work friends or like friends outside of work. There's also this man that you don't really get to see, and part of me wants to believe that that's going to be a model of Lance Reddick before Zavala turns into Awoken. That's what he looks like, and I think that would be really cool. And then here we have the scene again. The Nine. She's sitting at a red light. Nobody's coming. She's having whatever panic attack. She heard her phone ring, and then bam, the Nine intervened in her life and killed her. And now she's a guardian. Like, she can't come to terms with the fact that she died. It like she didn't just die in her life. The gods of the universe killed her, took her away from her family, so she would exist at the edge of fate at Kepler. And it's really powerful, especially if have someone that you care about. And it would just be wild to learn, like, put yourself in their shoes. It'd be wild to learn that whatever god you believe in killed you so you could be brought back to life and do their bidding. So we have all that
So
Ikora
many
stuff,
records
and
were
then
wiped out.
like
We
Ikora's
don't
breaking
have an
down throughout the
exact
entire
number.
story. While that's happening,
Hundreds
we have
of
Lodi,
years
who we're
ago.
constantly learning more about. We have this entire scene here, and if you went straight to orbit, you missed it because this is really
Just like that?
powerful. And I'm gonna let it play out in the
There was
background.
an
Hopefully, I
apocalypse,
adjust my audio so I'm not
and
too
it's
loud
ancient
over it,
history,
so you can kind of hear
and
a
that's
little
it.
bit of what's happening. If not,
Wait, didn't
hopefully you can
someone
read the subtitles
think
at least.
to
I know
etch it
for my next
date
DLC, I'm going to turn the
in a
subtitles
stone
a
or
little bit
something
bigger so
helpful?
you guys can read it properly because they're currently set to
There's
small.
no time capsules?
But
The bunkers just
it's
gone?
powerful because Lodi also realizes that he was sent there by the Nine. The gods of the universe
And I
took
can't
him
undo any of it.
from his original life and sent him to Kepler. Except they didn't kill him. They just teleported him here with that phone. You learn through the DLC that the
Lodi.
phone was found under Chicago.
That
They
would
were
have
investigating
never
it. It was
been possible.
an anomaly.
Surely you
Ikora
knew
heard it
this.
ring in that last scene. Then she had that breakdown
No.
where she ran away.
I
Lodi
don't
then
know.
proceeded to be the person to answer that phone, and he got pulled here. It's literally been like a couple weeks for him, and
You're not
he
the first person to
traveled
wake up lost.
hundreds, if not thousands,
You
of
gotta
years
tell
into
the
the future.
others.
He's learning that
The
the
golden
world
age
has
arose,
ended.
and
He doesn't
fell,
know
and then so
if
did the
his
dark
family
age.
got to grow old, if possibly
There were
a son
few
or
of us
daughter
then,
got to
and
have
survival
kids
barely
and
eked
enjoy being a parent, enjoy
But we
being a
did.
grandparent, and just
out.
die of
Humans
age.
live. We built a city. In time, there will be more.
There were hundreds.
I know. Can you tell me what you do remember?
What does it matter now? I'm sorry. I was... sorry.
Just that part of dialogue alone
It's
is
such a simple question, but...
so powerful. This voice actor is so good. I don't know how to pronounce your name, Brian, but you are a fantastic voice actor, and you really made me feel something for Lodi that I haven't felt for most of the characters. I felt something for Nathan Fillion's Cade because Cade is sentimental to me. But honestly, if I didn't play Forsaken or Destiny 1, I would have felt nothing throughout that campaign because it wasn't powerful to me unless I knew who that character was. And Rohan in Lightfall, I felt nothing when he died because they didn't make me care about him. If they do anything to Lodi at this point, I'm going to be in shambles.
Just looking up, realizing all over again how much more was out there that nobody saw. Guess the stars aren't such a wonder anymore. Out here.
There are still mysteries.
Not only did Bungie introduce a brand new character and give them a fantastic backstory and a fantastic voice actor with great dialogue that made me care about them, but they also gave me more lore about Ikora and made me really care about her. I will say the thing that threw me off the most about this whole DLC was the fact that Deborah Wilson was the person voicing Ikora. And for those that don't know, she's like really big in the voice actor space, but she's the voice of Savathun. So it was really weird to hear Savathun as Ikora Ray. But Ikora will be having her normal voice actress soon or eventually. I don't know if they'll be re-recording her lines, but overall, it just kind of caught me off guard. But after playing through it twice, I really don't care because Deborah Wilson kills it and does a fantastic job at delivering her lines as Ikora as well. And to be honest, I would expect nothing less from her. Now we move on to the final cutscene of the story, and I'm honestly just going to let this play for you because it's really, really good. And then I want to talk about some of the things that happen in it. So here you go.
Not running from this one. As much as I'd like to. Not every day you resurrect a god.
You stand here, that I would not die alone again.
If you cannot give me what I want, what can you do?
Still I die afraid, at your sister's command.
You are a being who bends all rules. Why do you fear breaking this one?
A death ensures extinction. Listen carefully, children of my earth. To survive, you must find the nine. It cannot be done. The weapon will do it. Strike true, weapon. Goodbye, Ambassador. Goodbye, Commander.
Come, coward.
That's a neat little trick. Thanks, friend.
And here you have this really powerful scene of a god speaking through its host, essentially the person that it is using to convey its message to the Guardian, which is apparently the only way that humanity lives is if the Guardian helps bind the nine. The Guardian really seems like it's the one thing that nothing can see coming. Like the witness always wins, not in this timeline because of the Guardian. The edge of fate having the nine die and cause an extinction, that will happen. But three believes that the Guardian can stop it. So it's very clear that the Guardian is a unpredictable element in our current timeline, and it's just really powerful to also have three, a like god of Earth, essentially, some kind of deity, whatever you want to call it, says that it's happy to not die alone, but still afraid to die. And that's insane for something that is much higher of a being than us, the Guardian. And it also is something that I think a lot of people can comprehend is, what comes after you die. And like, we have very short lifespans. The Guardians live forever until their ghost dies. So mortality affects them in a very strong way as well, because once they don't have their ghosts, they could die at any moment. And then, but this is a deity. Like, death isn't even a concept that it even begins to comprehend because it never has to. They live forever, presumably. And this one is afraid to die alone. It's afraid to die. It's happy that someone else gets to be there while it dies. It's just, it's done very well conveying the emotions that 3 is feeling at the end of its life. And it, this just, it's so good. I'm at a loss for words at how good both the story is and just the voice artists in general are so good at conveying these emotions and these feelings and what's going through these characters' heads so well in what is, I believe, to be the greatest story and narrative Bungie has ever created. It's much better than Lightfall. I think it's better than The Witch Queen just because it's on a grand scale. I believe it's better than The Final Shape because I think The Final Shape was way too rushed. Like I said, Lightfall was bad. I feel like if Lightfall and Final Shape would have been one DLC, it would have been really good, but Final Shape just. Lightfall was definitely rushed, and The Final Shape also felt like it was good, and then all of a sudden it was all happening at once. And then Forsaken, which I've always held as like the best story, is, I think, topped by this. And I think the only reason that's kind of considered the best story is because it, one, tied directly into the raid, and two, Cade 6. This DLC didn't even have Cade 6, and I'm putting it above every Cade 6 DLC. This is Bungie at its finest. I look forward to see what they can do, and I really hope other people see that and come back to Destiny just to play this story and like feel really confident about Bungie and their narrative moving forward. Like, I'm super impressed by this, and I can't wait to see what they cook next. So that is the good. Let's discuss the bad real quick, just because everyone on Twitter was talking about it. Yes, Matterspark is not great. You move too slow. They've already released some fixes for it, and it feels much better. But there are some points in the campaign where it's still sluggish, and I don't like the puzzle mechanics just to unlock a new area. I like to do it while I'm in combat. Like, I enjoyed Matterspark in the final mission where I had to use it to break the boss's shields. That was nice. But you only used Matterspark in that fight. You didn't use the suspend ability. You didn't use the portal gun. Like, those are pretty forgettable. Like, I literally just forgot what the other one was. You use these to traverse through the story, and it's fine for the most part. But the fact that I have to do so many puzzles just to unlock the next area is kind of obnoxious. It really got on my nerves. And even playing through it a second time, it was still on my nerves. But again, the campaign's so good. Hopefully, the third time it doesn't ruin it for me with these puzzles that just aren't fun. But the story really good, makes up for the bad puzzles. And a lot of people complained that you have to like run over here and you do like a bunch of side missions, but there's so much dialogue and lore there that if you care about the story, it's good. If you don't care about the story, then yeah, it feels like you're doing fetch quests, which, I mean, to be fair, they kind of are, but from a story standpoint, they're providing a lot of dialogue that would otherwise be thrown in a lore book and we would never hear. So shout out to Bungie for like, I feel like nailing the campaign with how many missions it was. Like, it was long. The story was incredibly long, and it made up for the puzzles in Matter Spark just being not great in the slightest. And then you also have the bugs, the crashes, and that goes more into the raid. So we'll go over that here in a second. But now I want to talk. Literally, that's like my biggest problem with this DLC. Like we're already going to the next part, which is about like the tier system and all of that Bungie added. So the tier system, it's nice, but it kind of sucks to get tier 5 loot, especially when you're grinding for tier 5 and you get a bunch of tier 1s. So the grind went from let me grind for this weapon and the role that I want to let me grind up my power level so I can grind for the weapon I want, hope I get the role that I want, and it drops as a tier 5. Otherwise, I have to keep trying. They added a lot more steps. Sure, the grind is infinite, but it's infinitely more times more difficult than it was before, even though it's infinite loot. And while I do get a drop pretty much after any activity I play, whether it's PvP, comp, Gambit, I actually haven't even played, so maybe not even Gambit, but just what is it? Solo ops, fire team ops, pinnacle ops all drop something every time. It's guaranteed one reward. The bonuses for the day have like +3 drop, so that part's really nice. It's infinite drops, but they made it infinitely more times more difficult to get the drop that you want, because tier 1s are base weapons, tier 2s are just enhanced perks, tier 3s are enhanced perks, but you have 2 sets of perks in either column. Tier 4 is you now have enhanced perks, 2 sets of perks in each column that are enhanced. And then you can also have enhanced barrels, magazines, origin traits, and I believe they are grips that are always in that other slot for comp weapons. And then finally, tier 5s, you get a third row of perks that can be enhanced. That's nice and all, but if I'm not getting a tier 5, then it's not really worth grinding. Because if someone has, you know, 2 more range from Hammerforge Rifling, 2 more range from Accurize, their perks do more range with Slide Shot and Opening Shot or whatever the fuck on their Solemn, what is it, Solemn Remembrance, then they have way more range than I do just using a base roll with Hammerforge, Accurize, Slide Shot, Opening, whatever roll I want, right? They just have the edge of fate. They just have the edge on me, and there's nothing I can do about it. And the only way to get tier 5 weapons is to grind your power level. So you have to play these activities that drop a ton of loot, and you don't necessarily give a fuck about it, but you have to do that so you can hit the rank to go grind out tier 5s in the activity for the loot you actually fucking want. So I can't just sit there and play Crucible and get Crucible drops and have a chance at a tier 5 the way I would like for it to be. I have to go play activities I don't care about to get the comp weapon with a good drop. And then, on top of that, the comp weapon is impossible to get because they remove the ability to A, focus it, and B, get it to drop for your 3 games every week on each character. And it's just really annoying. Not to mention, armor's the same way. At tier 5, you get more stats than you do tier 1, which makes sense. But again, I don't want to grind super high level just to have a chance at this armor dropping. It's just a really, really bad system, in my opinion. And then on top of that, the armor just isn't that great. Like, yeah, sure, it has a 30, a 20, and a 10 stat, but we had tons of armor that had 20, 20, 20, and then a couple that had like high 20s, like close to 30, and 2 stats. And now there's some combinations that you can't even get on armor anymore. And I don't understand. There's a reason that content creators were grinding Grasp of Avarice for Artifice armor before the DLC dropped. I feel bad for the people that deleted a lot of their armor or all of their armor. I deleted a little bit myself because I expected this new system to be better overall. While the tier system is good and is an easy way to understand like how to get better armor, there's also not a good way to level up super fast if you don't dedicate your entire life to this video game to get a high enough level to grind out for tier 5s. It's an awful system. With that being said, let's move over to the raid, discuss the raid and its drop. The raid came out, It's the hardest raid to date for anyone to do day one. It took the longest, and every single boss had way too much fucking health. Every enemy had way too much fucking health, and everyone hated it. And then people were also in agreement that it should be difficult. And I've always said that contest mode should be difficult in terms of mechanics. I think that day one mechanics should be really difficult to learn, but like once you know what you're doing in terms of combat, it should be grandmaster level. I'm not saying it should be easy. There should definitely be DPS checks, but not every single boss. Now, that being said, I kind of agree that every single boss should be a DPS check, but most raids don't have 4 bosses. In fact, none do, except Last Wish, but that's an incredibly long raid. And when you put DPS checks on every single boss in a raid, like they did with Desert Perpetual, it makes it a not fun experience for most players that are above average that would normally clear, or even to some of the people that did clear. I know there was the Reddit post, the guy saying that he was just kind of glad to be done. He didn't have fun. It was just he did it to accomplish something. And I think a lot of people do that. But I understand where they're coming from. Like, I understand why Caretaker was a DPS check, and Rolk had difficult mechanics and was kind of a DPS check. That's fine. Every single raid boss, though, is just not fun for the majority of the people watching or participating. And with us talking about the majority of people watching and participating, let's talk about the other drama of blacking out screens and removing stuff from the screen. I think we're to the point where Bungie should basically be like, hey, if you want to do a day one raid and compete for world's first, you have to stream it. Every single console nowadays can stream directly from the console. Most PC players can stream from their PC. That's not that crazy of an ask. And the only reason I suggest that is because we have people blacking out their screens. We have people covering up information. We have people muting. And look, the muting and the covering up information I've been fine with. But the blacking out the screen has been bullshit. It's absolutely awful for the viewer. If you appreciate your viewers, do not do that to them. And I'm not throwing shots at any of the big raiders that were blacking out their screen. I understand why you do that because you've gotten to the point where you have to get coaches in there to watch other people's streams. And everyone's doing it. But if everyone's doing it, what's the point in having a coach? And then once no one has a coach, what's the point in blacking out your screen? It's going to be this constant cycle of everyone being worried about what everyone else is doing. And I think Bungie should just be like, hey, you want to compete for world's first day one contest? You got to stream it. We got to be able to see your entire run live because some of y'all are doing some sketchy shit. There's tons of cheaters on the scoreboards that supposedly is what's happening right now. I don't know about that personally, but I definitely want to throw that in here, which is another reason I think Bungie should make people stream it if they want to compete in World's First. And I know none of those people won World's First, but I definitely think that that's something that should be mentioned. On top of that, I think we also need to make it where people should show their screens. Covering up buffs, fine. Muting, whatever. Who cares if you mute? We can still enjoy watching the experience. But the blacking out the screen, I think Bungie should be like, hey, if you're blacking out your screen to cover up mechanics, that's not good sportsmanship. Let's not do that. We like if you win, we're not considering you world's first. But I'm sure that's a little harsh, but I just don't want to watch a black screen on a day one anymore. I don't. It's literally a black screen with no audio or anything, and I'm over it. And finally, the raid itself, it seems fun. The mechanics seem pretty like average, not too hard, not too easy. I'm here for it. It's not as hard as Salvation's Edge in terms of grasping the mechanics, and it's not as easy as Root of Nightmares. It's nice in between. I just think maybe make the enemies a little bit weaker so you don't have to hot swap loadouts and stuff and ruin the experience for console players. That'd be great. But yeah, overall, good raid, and this is a great DLC, and you should definitely get it. And Bungie's already addressed some of the issues that I have with the tier weapons moving forward. So hopefully those are going to be good changes coming up.